Right, let's get cracking. Coming up, it's another Loco repair challenge. All these engines have been broken, mistreated, or literally just left to rot. I'm going to try and fix them up so that these forgotten models can be enjoyed once again. But there is a catch. Each repair job has a time limit, and this is decided by the Time-O-Matic machine. If the time runs out before the repairs are complete, then the engine will go to the evil Scrapman.
I am the Scrapman.
This season, the engines are in worse condition than ever before, and the time limits are tighter than ever before, so this time my skills will truly be put to the test. Welcome to Salvage or Scrap. Well, it's a new season with a new collection of seriously damaged locos, so let's introduce you to the latest rotten runners, ruinous radials, and crappy kits. Today's patient is a 1983 Hornby class D49 and it cost me £45. Time to take a closer look so I can see what I'm dealing with. Right off the bat then, this one is filthy. In fact, it even smells. I don't think I've ever had a Loco that actually reeks before, but this one certainly does. The moment I opened the box, I could smell it. The metal parts on board are very rusty. That goes for the connecting and coupling rods and also the reverser rod, which is very noticeably rusty. And the Loco driving wheels have this thick scum on them. The wheels are so dirty that they look like they've got traction tyres on them, but these are not tyres, this is pure filth. It should be literally impossible for this Loco to run with its seized up axles and the layers of filth on its wheels. But let's test it anyway. Here it goes with a bit of juice. Right. So power is applied. I gotta say, I'm not seeing any signs of life at all here. Tender driven Loco, so I'm looking at the tender wheels, giving it all a bit of a wiggle. Yeah, I'm not feeling any buzzing, I'm not seeing any twitching. By the looks of it, this Loco is completely dead at the moment. So this engine is rotten, it is cosmetically terrible, and of course it doesn't work. So how long have I got to turn this Loco around? Time-O-Matic, if you will. 24 minutes. Right, that is not a lot of time, so I'm going to need a plan. First things first, I want to try and cure that smell. So I'm going to take the Loco body off, the tender body off, get those cleaned up, and then I've got to turn my attention to the mechanism, see if I can fix that up in less than 25 minutes. Right, I'm going to get started. Please wish me luck. The rules are that I'm not allowed to go shopping for any replacement parts. I can use parts that I already have in my own stores, or I can 3D print brand new ones, but anything made this way must be printed within the time limit. Man, I hate these time limits, but hey, the whole point of the show is to make me squirm, and squirm I shall. So, 24 minutes on the Time-O-Matic, I think everything is ready to go, so if you would, please start the clock. Right, no messing around, let's get these bodies off immediately. My first job is to remove the bodies from both the Loco and the tender so that I can wash them properly. But I can't do this with all of the detail parts fitted, so some of these will have to be removed. Let us take off the reverser rod, I believe it is. Let me try and get that off. Oh, it's coming. Oh, there it is. Nameplate's popped off as well. I think we'll glue that on later on then. Can I get the other one off? Nope, leave it on, okay. Whistles, safety valves, let's get these off because I think they could easily be polished up. With all the details removed, it's time to give the bodies a wash. This is my favourite go-to cleaning method for Loco bodies without too much detail. Apply regular squirty soap onto a toothbrush and scrub the bodies without water. Same with the tender body. Right, I think that'll have to do. Right, let's rinse. With the scrubbing complete, I can rinse the bodies in fast-flowing cold water. Alright, I've got to shake those off and just dab them dry. So, let's get the heater on. Okay, so how long have I got? I've got 19 minutes. I think what I need to do is investigate why these wheels are not turning. Yeah, they do seem stiff. This is a tender-driven Loco, which means the drive mechanism is in the tender. All the Loco has to do is pick up electricity and roll freely. Let's see if I can get the base keeper to come away. There's no obvious way of removing the base keeper plate from the Loco chassis, but since electricity from the track is picked up through separate pickups and not through the axles, I can get away without accessing the axles, provided I can get the chassis to roll freely. So let's just pull these pickups out, so I'll be able to clean those and give them a better, cleaner contact. There's an extra wire here, I'm just going to snip that off. It might have been going to the front bogie. I don't think I'm going to need that if all is well. Right, I'm just going to have to try and get some lubrication onto these axles. It's not easy to lubricate the axles without removing the base keeper plate, but I think I've just about been able to manage it. Come on now, loosen up. The wheels are starting to turn. I'm now adding some lubrication to the rods to try and free things up even more. I really don't care what it looks like, I just got to get these wheels spinning freely. If these don't spin freely, there's no point looking at the tender and the mechanism because the wheels won't turn. So it's really important that these are free rollers. But I've noticed a problem. The valve gear is out of position, and this is making the chassis run stiffly. That seems to be nice and free now, which is great. So I'll worry about the wheels later on because obviously I need to try and get some of the gunge off them. But that I can worry about later on. Now let's get inside the tender. First job is to remove these weights from the side. These weights hold the mechanism onto the tender chassis, so these have to be removed in order to gain access to the mechanism. See if I can pop this whole thing out. Should be possible. Even with the weights removed, I'm still having trouble popping the mechanism out of position. It turns out there's one more screw I've forgotten about. There's a screw on the bottom, I think. That would explain why. Hidden screw, blimey. That could have undone me. Right, there we go. Gotta get all the mud and dirt out of this thing. The first job is to give the chassis base a good clean, but with only 15 minutes left, there's no time to be too thorough. Okay, so, tender chassis disassembly. Let us pull off the gears. Alright. With the gears out of the way, the chassis block is exposed and I'm able to clean it up. Just got to get the worst of the dirt off it. It will work if it isn't perfectly clean. I think frankly I'm going to have to settle for that. Right, let's try and clean up some of these gears a little bit, just get the surface dirt off them. If the gears are dirty, they'll create friction which will stop the engine running properly. As I always say, if you find a reason why a Loco isn't working, if you find lots of dirt, then that could explain why it's not working. The worst thing is if you open up a broken Loco and find that it's perfectly spotless inside, then it's bad news, because what's wrong? You have no idea. Now that everything's clean, I can put the gears back in place. Usually I like to pull these wheels out and clean the axles and such. Don't think I'm going to have time for that today, unfortunately, so it's going to have to just be a quickie. Right, let's reassemble this, put some lubricant on. We have 13 minutes left. Crikey. Now it's time to give the motor itself some attention. This is the last major part of the service before I have to start thinking about reassembling. So let's pop the front of the motor off. With the brushes still intact, yeah, I'm having to be that fast and furious about it. The brushes are in there, which is good. Right, luckily the commutator does not look too dirty. The commutator is where the power is delivered to the motor. It has to be kept clean, otherwise electricity can't flow through it. This one doesn't look too bad, although I think I am going to scale it because it's not cleaning up ever so easily. Cleaning the commutator with a wire wheel allows me to remove any really tough dirt and polish it up until it shines. Okay, let's clean it one last time. If it still doesn't work, that's when I panic and probably start thinking of failure.
cleaning up the brushes.
With all parts of the motor cleaned, it's time to put it all back together.
There it goes. The brushes I did clean very briefly, hopefully they will be clean enough to work. And then the springs need to go in as well. And now some all-important lubrication. This Loco is crying out for lubrication because it's dry as a bone. So that should be now a working mechanism. So if I connect up some power to it, I should be able to turn the wheels and then also clean the wheels. Come on, please work. Oh yeah, it's going. Ah, there's life in it, excellent.
With the mechanism running again, I have the perfect opportunity to clean the wheels. Usually, a cotton bud soaked in cleaning fluid would be more than enough to do the job, but these wheels have been filthy for years, so the wire wheel does the job better and faster.
Alright, can't clean the wheels on the other side because they have traction tyres on them, so for the rest of this wheel clean, I'm going to have to rely on the cotton buds. Alright, that'll have to do, I think. And let's see if I can reassemble the tender. This little connector needs to be put back on, and so does this one. Ooh, I'm having a bit of trouble with this. Crikey. Got 8 minutes remaining. This is stressful, I'm not going to lie, this is very stressful. Right, it's back together again. Great. Right, let's screw the base back on. This is officially reconnected. Right, let's have a look at the Loco pickups because these need to be cleaned.
Originally, these models would rely on non-permanent contacts to pass electricity between the Loco and the tender, but these contacts become unreliable with age. It is possible to tune these contacts and clean them up so that they work again, but this takes time that I just don't have. So instead, I'm planning to run a wire between the Loco and the tender for a more reliable and permanent connection.
Let's get some wire here. I just don't want to faff around with those dodgy contacts. I want to just put a wire in and then it will conduct and I know it will work. I'm going to solder, I think, straight to this half of the motor.
And I'm hoping to solder the other end of my wire to this copper strip on the Loco. You can solder to copper quite easily, and as you can see, this has worked well.
Right, so now what I can do is go and fetch the Loco body and hopefully fit it back to the chassis. Let's pop this Loco body back on first, and then I'll start worrying about putting the details back onto it, because at the moment, I still don't have a working Loco and that needs addressing. Body screw, let's get that on. Hopefully I haven't forgotten anything here. I am going to have to clean the Loco wheels, but I'm hoping to do that in a minute. Let's snip this cable then.
And now, the other end of the wire can be soldered to the tender chassis to complete the circuit. I now have just 3 minutes to reassemble the Loco and all of its details, starting with the tender weights.
So, this weight goes on first. I have never rushed like I'm rushing this one before. This is absolutely insane. What a challenge. Right, where's the body? Let's get that body on, couple those up so that my wire does not break, and let's just try now cleaning the Loco wheels.
If I don't remove that black scum from those Loco wheels, then all of my hard work will have been in vain, as the dirt will stop the Loco from picking up power.
Okay, let's carry on cleaning. I'm not even going to bother cleaning the other side of the Loco wheels because they don't have pickups on them, so I don't care about them. And also the insides of these wheels, hopefully this will make contact. And then before I turn my head to putting the body back together in terms of its detailing, I am just going to put some power to the wheels and just verify that this is going to run. Yeah, it is going to run. Okay, great. Quickly now, quickly. I am going to keep my goggles on because I need to clean up the safety valves. Alright, I think that'll have to do. So let's put that safety valve back on. Yeah, that looks a little bit shinier than it did before. Okay, we have 1 minute left. The whistle I don't think I'm going to bother with because I've only got 1 minute and I've still got to deal with the reverser rod. Where is the reverser rod? Here it is. Right, very quickly, let's get the rust off it.
Unfortunately, there's no time to thoroughly de-rust this piece, so it's having to make do with just a few seconds under the wire wheel, and that's all I can afford.
Right, less than 1 minute to go. Let's get this reverser rod back on. I think it went on this side, didn't it? So it goes into the back of the cab. Maybe it doesn't.
I'm panicking.
Okay, nameplate. Please get that nameplate on there. 20 seconds left to go. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue onto that nameplate just so that it does stay in position there. And 3 seconds, let's wipe up the excess. Right, that's it, nothing else to do. Let's get this back to the workshop and let's see whether I was able to fix it. So there it is, the Hornby D49 back in the workshop after the full 24 minutes of highly stressful repair work. And let me tell you, this thing needed every single second of that repair time. I'm about to make the final inspection, but first, here's a reminder of how the Loco looked to begin with. It was filthy, it was smelly, you could literally smell the thing as it came out of the box, very rusty in places, and of course the thick scum on the wheels, which was preventing it from running. Yes, it was totally dead when tested due to the poor state of its mechanism. And here is the final result. I'm pleased to report, and you'll have to believe me, that the smell has finally gone. That's great. The bodywork is looking much cleaner thanks to its wash, and most of the rust is cleared up. I think the safety valves look a lot cleaner. You can see how they contrast with the whistle, which I didn't get time to polish. And the reverser rod is looking a little bit better as well, although I did not have time, unfortunately, to attend to the coupling and connecting rods. The wheels, though, have been polished clean, so that thick scum is now gone. So the cosmetic improvements are definitely noticeable, but does the Loco run now? Let's initiate the final test. Oh wow. Yeah, it is running absolutely perfectly. How lively is that? Yeah, good speed to it, not hesitating at all. Seems to have a good reliable connection to the motor as well. Wow, I'm very, very pleased with the performance there. That is a fantastic result, and I can now officially pronounce this Loco salvaged and safe from the evil scrapman. I'm going to start a new leaderboard for this season of Salvage or Scrap, and there is the D49, the only Loco on the leaderboard at the moment, but we will see how the other projects come along and stack against it. The Loco's now fit to return to the rails, and there it goes. And if you'd like a chance to own this very locomotive, then bids are open on eBay right now, so visit the link in the description if you're interested. For now though, that is job done. I'll see you next time on Salvage or Scrap.